My friends, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Diner Talks with James. I'm James, super excited to be kicking it with you all here today. We got Rachel DeAlto coming out in just a minute. As far as I know from the Spanish I took, that means Rachel of Tall. So that's fine. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But I'm super excited to have her out here, y'all. And I'm pumped to have you all as a member of this community and hanging out with me at the diner. What's your order today? What are we putting in there for you? You need a slice of pie? You need a fancy piece of layer cake that's been circulating in this refrigerator that spins all year round and no one ever orders from? Great. We'll get that right up for you. Whatever you need here, my friends, welcome to the diner. We cook it all and we cook most of it well. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's get Rachel DeAlto out here. But let me tell you about her first. Rachel and I have been friends for a handful of years. Don't know exactly how long. Maybe she'll tell me. But she has been an incredible individual to get to know. She has also mentored me in a number of ways. And so I'm just grateful for her friendship, for her spirit, and for the woman that she is. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to count how many times she shits on herself this episode. Okay, we're going to take a tally count. Shoot me a message afterwards. And also you can count how many times I do it as well, because my parents taught me well. But still, my friends, I'm pumped. She's Jersey's finest, y'all, coming out here. You have seen her on Married at First Sight. You have seen her on TLC's Kate+Date and all of a bunch of other media outlets. She's working for Match.com. She's doing a whole bunch of incredible incredible things where she spreads information about being a relationship expert. I'm really excited to talk to her. And also, she's got a brand new book coming out a little bit later this year. It's called Relatable. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But enough of my face. You need two faces, friends. Let's bring it out right now. Rachel DeAlto. What up, friend?
What's up? And I just want to make sure when you say shits on herself, you don't mean that literally. You mean that in terms of...
Well, I guess you'll have to watch the live stream to find out. No.
Does that count as self-deprecating?
No, that was humor. As long as it's funny, I don't care. Rachel, what's up today, friend? How are you?
I am good. I am highly caffeinated.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful
Is
thing.
It?
Now, are you a like wake up, coffee, then life kind of individual? Is coffee first?
Yes, always coffee. I honestly, there's very few times that I don't drink coffee and massive amounts of coffee. So I do not want to be talked to or dealt with or do anything until I at least have 2 cups.
At least 2 cups.
At least 2.
Okay. Yeah. All right. There it is. There it is. Now, do you get fancy with your coffee? Are you out here with like a slow drip? Are you out here with some sort of fancy Nespresso machine? What are we doing out here?
Okay. So I feel a little bougie even admitting this, but yes, I am addicted to Nespresso. And it wasn't until, so I was like a Keurig girl because I was just lazy. I like to do the one shots. I like to just have it, because I need it quick. I can't just live my morning with waiting for the drip to be done. So I ended up doing a retreat in Sedona, and we stayed at this fancy pants hotel, and they had individual Nespresso makers in the room. So it was like super bougie. And I was so addicted. I came home, I bought one for myself. I actually ended up buying one for my fiance who lives, we live separate still. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he became addicted. He never even liked coffee. And I now have him obsessed with Nespresso. I'm obsessed with Nespresso. I'm going to go broke.
Amazing. Well, this is a perfect time to drop in our sponsor, Nespresso. Buy Nespresso. I'm just kidding. We don't have any sponsors.
But you should.
Well, we should. And honestly, my Tina just got a Nespresso machine as well. And it's happening. It's happening.
Life-changing.
Same reason as you. No time with kids around. Like there's no time to have a slow drip and like the fancy,
Just pressing stuff when you have to take care of a kid.
No, nothing. Yeah, too many other things are pressing.
Yes.
So dad jokes are coming in quick today.
They're here.
I love that. I also appreciate that you and your fiance are living separately. You got to leave space for Jesus, Rachel. Thank you for that. Thank you. Leaving space for Jesus.
Or it could be because the market shit the bed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, one or the other. One or the other. One person's market is another. I don't know where I was going with that. Rachel, you are from the state of New Jersey. Are you born and bred Jersey? Are you Jersey through and through?
I am. I only got away for a little bit and then it pulled me back in like magnets.
There you go. Now, where in Jersey are you from originally? Where'd
So
you grow up?
technically, I'm in an area that nobody believes exists called Central Jersey. People seem to
Heard of
think
it.
that there's like North and South, but there is a Central. I am due east of Philadelphia on the beach. So we're not North Jersey, we're not Philly, we are right in the center on the beach. So it's a nice part of Jersey. We don't want people to find it. So I probably shouldn't have given them directions.
Well, Central Jersey is truly the unicorn of the United States. Has
It
anybody
really
ever
is.
Slash, I've been there. So you're Central Jersey. Are you pork roll or Taylor ham then?
Pork roll.
Okay.
We are pork roll.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we're smart.
Okay, there it is. Shots fired. Where you at, North Jersey? We're coming in, all the heavy hitters right now.
We're not going to have a real conversation today.
I don't know what those are. Growing up in Jersey, I'm from Long Island. Here's the thing: Jersey and Long Island like to give each other crap, but can we both admit the reason why we give each other so much crap is because we're basically the same people and we're bothered by it?
I think you're probably right, except for Long Island. It's like, how do you get there? And then how do you get out? That's the one thing. Like, at least Jersey is attached to the rest of the world. Long Island, like, you could just cut off bridge and they'd be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you guys have some things to work through in terms of just being so removable.
Yeah. It costs a solid, I think between the Gothels and the Verrazano, it costs like $22 to drive to Long Island, if not more. Maybe even actually more than that, I think. I think it's like 25 or 28 now.
It's crazy. Yeah. I was there a couple months ago and I was like, why do people come out here?
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Shots coming in heavy out here.
I really am.
Coming in heavier. It's fine. It's okay. You're bitter. You have your bagels aren't as good. Your pizza's not as good, and your people are more awkward. So I understand.
Your face, whatever makes you happy, James.
Whatever makes me happy. Oh gosh, I'm a male. I have nothing but getting defensive. That's all I can do. It's my only level. Oh, that's incredible. Now, as someone who grew up in Jersey, do you fancy yourself a diner?
I love diners.
You're a diner
oh my gosh, diners. We would sneak out to diners at like 2:00 in the morning because they were open 24 hours back in the day, and we'd be in freshman year of high school and be like, "Mom, Dad, like, you can't hear us, right?"
So you would sneak
out
out
to a diner.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was I was such a badass.
Yeah, right. Did you like ride bikes over to the diner?
We did, or walked. There was one that was by my friend's house, and her dad was a single parent, and we totally abused it. But again, we went to the diner. We'd go to the diner at like 1:00 in the morning and eat French toast. That would be my order every time because I had the thick cut French toast and drink coffee as 14, 15-year-olds. I'm not sure that I would be okay with my daughter doing that, but hey, I'm still here.
Which part? The sneaking out, the coffee, or the French toast?
I mean, the French toast I fully endorse.
Okay, great.
And yeah, but everything else, I'm like, it's probably not a good idea, kid.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a coffee at 14. I feel like generations are drinking coffee earlier now. Starbucks, like I feel like I go into Starbucks and I see 12-year-olds in there ordering something that ends in chino.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not coffee. That's like sugar water with like a splash of decaf. So I think they're faking it because it's cool. But no, I drank coffee black since I was 14. So I should probably see somebody about that.
It does say a lot about your grit.
Might still be in my teeth, actually.
Physical grit. Well played. So is your diner order to this day still French toast and coffee? Is that still your move?
You know what? So in my old age, I realized that protein really mattered. So a lot of times I'll still try to sneak in some sort of French toast and have eggs with it. So I have some protein. And honestly, this very morning, I created kind of what I would consider a diner big boy breakfast to be. Because
I'm intrigued.
I'm a big boy. But I worked out this morning. I was super busy and I realized I'd been awake for like, I don't know, 8 hours and hadn't eaten anything. And I was starving. So I made a full omelet like egg and cheese, which is all of my omelets. So that's probably not that impressive.
Yep. Yep. I'm a cheese omelet kind of person.
Right? So
Yep.
good. And then I had protein waffles on top of that. So I had this like platter and I feel good. I'm actually a little hungry again though, which makes me a little worried. So I might eat after this.
That's
again.
this is a judgment-free zone. I mean, well, that's not true.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to judge you
have
about
you
that.
met you?
That is indeed a champion's breakfast right
That's
there.
Right.
A big boy breakfast for sure. Pulling the pants all the way up. I love that. I am. There's people who put a lot of stuff in their omelets. I'm usually cheese. I'm just cheese. I like a classic cheese omelet. Maybe I'll go 2 cheese. I mean, sometimes I go cheddar and twist if I'm feeling fancy.
Wow. Yeah, I never get that fancy. I also don't cook, so that was the extent of my cooking. So I feel like if I added 2 cheeses in, people would have a different opinion of me. There would be expectations, and nobody wants that in their life.
Yeah, no, gotta keep them low.
Yeah, exactly. Set the bar low. Like occasionally, like I'll make something, and Kevin, my fiance, will be like, what? This is the most amazing thing I've ever had. And I was like, that's because I never feed you. Bar low.
There it is. So are you actually, and no one listens to this, so don't worry about it. Are you actually a sneaky good cook?
I honestly am.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
He'll never be sent this ever. No, actually, I think he even knows it. So it's this weird thing. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I don't enjoy doing, and I try to blame it on, if I had that chef's kitchen, all of a sudden I'd be like wanting to chop and like create big recipes and, do these random things. I'm like, no, I could have the most amazing kitchen in the world and I'm just going to want to sit around having takeout and a glass of wine. So, but I'm capable. I just don't want to. And I have realized that it is my prerogative. I'm an independent woman and I don't have to.
You do not.
I don't.
Let's get it. I've also realized that I'm pretty decent in the kitchen, particularly with proteins. I recently bought a smoker, and so that's been fun because a barbecue is one of the religions I prescribe to, and it is. But for me, cooking it's about time. I'm not interested in the investment of it, the prep work and then the cooking, and then I'm eating it for 7 minutes and then I'm cleaning up. It's like, it's 4 hours of work for a tiny victory. And some people love that, right? They love the process. Yes. I do not love the process.
And let's let them do that, including the place down the street that my kids legitimately started saying, Mom, are we having that again? And I'm like, this is gourmet Italian food. This is like $12.99 a pound for chicken parm. And you people are complaining about it? Yeah. So forget them. I don't care.
Forget them. There, cheese.
Sorry.
I love it. So I'm grateful that you are someone who also appreciates a late night diner conversation, sneaking out to your friends, drinking black coffee like a boss, white t-shirt on, cigarettes curled up in the sleeve.
Actually, no, we did sneak a couple cigarettes during those ages. Yeah, that was bad. That was probably the worst thing we did.
There it is. Yeah, you rebel.
Confessional.
Yep, there it is. Crazy. That's it. I'm sending this to your parents. The late night diner move is always exceptional. And so you grew up in Jersey, and when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
An actress.
Actress.
Shocking. I know. Yeah. I loved acting. So I did a ton of theater. I was always doing like any sort of community theater or high school theater. I did children's theater. I was like, no, this is amazing. I'm going to be an actress. And I remember I actually sung in the choir with Kirsten Dunst. And I remember being so jealous of her, like absolutely just like seethingly jealous because she was younger than me and already being successful. And she had these crazy like stage parents, especially her mom. And my mom's like, she's never worn makeup in her life. She mows the lawn. I think she's, I don't know, she's like 68. She's going to kill me. Don't send this to her because if I got her age wrong, I just can't count. Still mows the lawn, like would chop down a tree if she needs to, like full like German plow woman. And I'm like, but I want to go to Hollywood. And she was like, no.
Oh, really? She shot it down.
So I didn't, yeah, well, because they said when I decided to go and apply to colleges, I was interested in doing drama. And my parents were like, hey, so here's the deal. We will help you pay for college minus this very small portion that you're responsible for, unless you decide to go into acting. And I was like, so I'm going to be a lawyer, which is kind of the same thing.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that happened. Crushed my dreams. Yeah.
That's incredible. But yet you have found your way back to the camera.
I really had, which is the weirdest thing, or is it weird? But yeah, through all of that adversity of my parents who loved me very much and wanted me to have some sort of stability in my life, I have now ignored all of that and come back to the media.
That's it.
Yep.
That's awesome. When you were growing up, when you said you want to be an actor, was it like, were you movies? Were you, was it Broadway? What was it for you?
You know, it honestly was anything. I was the kid who I was putting on like shows around, you know, the neighborhood. I would do shows in the driveway. Anytime my parents had people over, I would I would lip sync and sometimes not lip sync, which was unfortunate for them, to like Belinda Carlisle songs. I just dated myself right now. But like created like choreography. So it honestly didn't matter. I just wanted to be performing. Like it really, it didn't matter what it was. And the really weird thing is, so after I switched back, you know, out of law and into what I do now, this is probably like 6-7 years ago, I decided to take an acting class in New York City because I had some free time and I really was like, yeah, you know what, is this something I'm interested in? And one of my friends had taken it and she's like, oh, it's so great. And you speak and you do TV, so it'll be great for you. And I ended up doing it. And it was the weirdest revelation of, as I'm doing it, I was like, yeah, this is fine, but I want to be myself instead. And I had so much more fun going on camera, being on TV or performing on a stage as me than pretending to be somebody else. And I was like, huh, look at that full circle shit. So, yeah.
Look at that.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So that was like my big epiphany about acting. So I have no regrets of not doing it because I think I came full circle of if I had wanted to audition, you know, for things, then I could have, but I didn't want to. I was cool. I'm cool. I am cool with me.
Facts. And
Facts.
That makes two of us. And
You're cool with you or cool with me? I mean,
we're gonna move on now.
I hope it's
but the funny thing is that when I was choosing between going to school for theater or going to school for marine biology. And that was what my choice was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've heard the story before. And so I wound up choosing marine biology because I was like, you know what? If I'm a good actor, as long as I just keep putting myself in the right places, it'll work out fine. So let me get a degree that I could use. The irony of that now is upon us, but because I'd no longer use my marine biology degree, and I, like you, now love being in front of cameras and love being on stages in front of individuals. But it's fascinating though, because for me, when I was younger, I wanted to do marine biology because I wanted to be on TV. Like I thought that was
oh my God,
path.
That's so funny. That was my
route. Path to TV. I want to be the next Jacques Cousteau to now date myself. And so, but I always wanted to be in front of a camera, talking to individuals about something that I was passionate about, that I thought they should be passionate about. It just happened to be at the time, fish. And now it's authenticity and vulnerability. Not fish. Yeah. My whole marine biology
That's so
degree.
Crazy.
It's so funny.
Look at us.
Here we are.
Look at us.
I love it.
Full circle.
So you wind up going to school for law. You go to a little known school, Georgetown. And
no, you're not from Georgetown. You just
Harvard.
made me way
you went to Harvard.
smarter than I was.
No.
You know what? Let's run with that. Let's go with it.
Perfect.
Oh, a little fraud in my life never hurt. I mean, what's the worst thing I did? Drink, coffee at diners at 2 a.m.
Right. Yeah. We don't fact check this like Dax Shepard's armchair expert at the end, so don't worry about it. Say whatever you want.
I started out my studies at Yale.
Yes. No, where did you go to school?
I did my undergrad at Syracuse. So I started Syracuse thinking I was going to go pre-law there. I got really freaking bored really fast because obviously I wanted to be an actress. And I decided to switch into advertising because that seemed sexy and fun.
Yeah.
And it was. And then I realized that nobody listens to you in advertising and everybody thinks you're stupid. So that should go over well with anybody else.
Well, there goes that market I've been pitching to.
It was the weirdest thing though. So like you have all this education and experience and then data. So
Yeah.
I'd come in with like data and the clients would be like, nah, no, we know better. I'm like, why am I here? So I think it was like self-validation where I was like, you know what, maybe try that law thing again. And then I went to Seton Hall, came back home to Jersey. That's why I'm saying I couldn't get too far away. Came back to Jersey, moved in with my parents, wanted to shoot myself very quickly and ended up getting married too fast.
Yeah, that's one way to get out of the house.
Like, you love me? That's weird. It's only been 6 weeks. Oh, you're giving me a ring? Cool.
Is that a true story? 6 weeks?
True story.
Oh, I don't know this. Really?
Yep.
So you so you go to Seton Hall for law school, great school.
Yep.
Beautiful campus. And
actually the building was really nice and it was right by the train station, which was pretty sound.
There you go. And so you become a lawyer.
I did.
And then you meet somebody, and within 6 weeks, what is this story?
So actually, I was a second-year law student. So I had finished my first year. I was in the second year, and I was clerking at a local law firm. Went to lunch, and I meet this guy who passes me a note through the waitress as I'm eating lunch with my parents. And it was very respectful. It was like, if you're single, I'd love to take you out. And I was a single mom at that point of how old was he? 3 or 4 year old. So I had my son when I was just shy of 21. So I'm a super young mom, super, single, living with my parents, and going through law school. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this person could be Prince Charming because he just swept me off my feet. Like, I ended up meeting him, started bringing me flowers once a week, bought him new Mercedes for our first date. Took me away. Yeah. He was doing really well, very young. So I was 25, he was 27 and was in finance.
Yeah.
So played, all with the big monies. And just like basically showered me. And here I was, this like total disaster of a human being at this point, because I have so many self-esteem issues, and swept me off my feet. And within 6 weeks, he proposed. And I was like, yeah, sign me up for this.
It's definitely going to be like this forever.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Got married within, I guess it was 10 months after that. And yeah, we were together for 7 years before we divorced.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
What a series of unfortunate events, Lemony Snicket. That's incredible. I did not know about the 6 week thing. I knew that you were married. You and I both share a divorce in common, which is why we're friends.
That is. No. And now you are remarried and I'm engaged. By the way, this took 3.5 years because both of us were like, like, let's just really, really, really make sure we want to love each other for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, hell yeah. Because are you his second marriage as well?
Yeah, he's done this before. I've done this before. We're like, he never wanted to get married again. He was like, nope, not doing that again, ever. And then I was like, well, I kind of want to. And he's like, I don't.
Good for you.
And then eventually I wore him down with my charm.
Yeah.
And now he actually wants to. The funniest thing is he went from, so my fiance is Kevin. He went from never wanting to get married to all of a sudden he's like planning our wedding in Italy and telling me that I can't just text people that we're having it. I was like, so I can just let them know, like, hey guys, we'll be there around May 5th.
Yeah.
Show up if you want. And he's like, Rachel, this is our wedding. This is important. I'm like, who are you? But it's adorable.
It is fascinating though, because and I'm curious if you've noticed this, men, we keep our walls up, especially because a lot of us don't think we deserve love, because there was that one time where we hurt somebody and we're now like, I'm under my head or whatever. And so we sometimes keep our walls up and keep people at bay. I've been known to say the phrase that men crave belonging yet run from love. But the fact of the matter is once you, as a man, decide to commit and actually make the decision to invest, the walls come down, and then you start having opinions, because
Yeah.
in those moments, like it's cool to be like, yeah, no, my wife planned a whole wedding over here. Nah, it's great. Nah, I thought whatever flowers you want there, Pamela. Nah, no, whatever you want, I got you. Right? Like that's like the cool thing to be, right? But it's like I didn't plan anything. I watched football the whole time, burp, fart, whatever. And like, but the fact of the matter is that we as men are capable of greatness and are capable, and we actually do have opinions and do things matter. But it's just not cool to let things matter. And so I think it's awesome that Kevin is secure enough in himself, at least in this realm. You can call him out in other ones, to be like, no, I'm invested in this. I'm in.
I can't just send an email out. I couldn't show him my dress. I was like, oh, I found this really cool dress. It's super like casual, because obviously like it's just this casual wedding, which I thought I could text people to invite them. And he's like, no, I don't want to see it. I'm like, no. What is this? We're 75 years old. Like, you think, why are we believing in this shit?
Yeah, anyway. I love that. Are you doing it in Verona? I know you're a Verona fan.
We are. That's the plan.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we had this amazing trip there. Oh my God, that city's amazing. We were looking at property there. We could probably actually get an apartment there right now. Can't get anywhere to live in New Jersey. So. Come on, kids.
The market's nuts right now. That's so crazy. Stupid. That's amazing. Yeah. So okay, let's go back to this first one. Enough of your love. Let's talk about the shit. Yeah. But it's interesting is you said something that was powerful, where you're like, my self-esteem wasn't at a place to really kind of be, I guess, to be suspicious or to be whatever. Like it was just kind of like he was feeding you what you needed to hear in those moments. Where did the self-esteem issues come from for you? Like, was that something you've always had?
Do we have time for this shit?
You can lay down on my chase over here as well. That'd be great.
Where's my pillow? Give me the blankie. No, it started young, and that's why I'm joking around. But yeah, it really did. It started super young. I was the chunky know-it-all, and I talk about this. Like, you've had the displeasure of watching me speak, and it's a story that I tell where I had no friends. I was bullied as a young girl. I was made to feel like my weight was everything, and that my looks were everything, and that my intelligence was actually a deterrent to people liking me. So that was super cool. And that was all of my childhood until I was about like 12 years old. So all of those like fundamental like peer group. And it's funny. So I went and got my master's in psych because I was bored. And you realize how much, especially between 5 and 12, is so important in terms of really creating that self-esteem. And it did not happen. And I ended up getting better in high school, had some friend groups, and really, I'm still good friends with friends from high school. I lost weight, I was called pretty or whatever. And, it was kind of this in-between stage. And then in college, I ended up losing weight and then gaining a ton of weight and developed an eating disorder, because that's how you do it.
Sure.
And it just really kind of messed with me and my self-esteem, and everything had always felt so centered around those things. And I'd never looked at it, and I'd never done the work on it. I ended up going to a therapist. I remember this in college. And this is where I'm like, oh my God, this is why therapists get a bad name. Because I go there and she's like, well, you're not that chunky.
Oh no.
I was like, she's like, there's gonna be boys that love, a little extra meat on their bones. And I'm like, who the says that? Where did you go to school?
That is terrible.
But I remember it so clearly. Like, what? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was just a mess, and I was, bad in relationships because of that, which is ironic, of where I ended up now. But it took me until I was like 30 years old to get to a place where I'm like, oh no, I'm good now. And part of that is John, my ex-husband, who actually did pass away. So I like to say, late ex-husband, but then people have questions. But I definitely attribute a lot of my growth to that relationship, because it forced me to finally be like, oh, no, this is not okay. I'm not okay too. And I need to work on that. So I got nothing but love.
That's beautiful. It's interesting how some of those tough moments are our best teachers oftentimes. And so going through that tough relationship, at what point, like how far into it were you? I guess did the rose-colored glasses come off, and were you like, oh, this isn't this isn't actually happiness. This is work. This is, I haven't gotten another Mercedes in a while. Like what did that look like?
It was pretty quick. So he ended up having some challenges, and I always try to vaguely, because my children, I respect them more than anything in this world. And I'm super honest with them, obviously, but with the public, definitely kind of keep it vague. But he had some challenges, and there was a Jekyll and Hyde moment very quickly after we got married. And it was like it was the type of person, he actually did offer this once. So I had heels on, and he was offering to put his coat on the ground so I could walk on it, so I didn't get my heel stuck in the ground. Like that kind of just like worshiping.
Yeah.
And then once we got married, it was a whole different person. And it was a lot. Like there was so many different elements. But yeah, it was just, it very quickly came off. And I'm the type of person, one of my highest values in this world for myself is responsibility. So here I am, my parents just spent a shit ton of money on a wedding. This man is now my son's father, because his dad was never a part of his life and never tried to be, and I never tried to get him to be. And so he had adopted him in every sense of the way, except for legally, because he didn't want to contact him. And then, I'm just like, well, I live here now. Like, you made your bed, like this is what you do. And it was just such a traumatic experience to move through. And so when I hear people, I had this is going to sound so lame, but I had a TikTok go viral recently.
Yeah, you did.
It's like every day. Like, this one's about to hit 1 million views, and it's about when your relationship's over. And it honestly doesn't even have to do with him directly, but I have all these people commenting of like, you never leave, and you never leave with kids, and like this is bad. And I'm like, the trauma that you expose the children to, the trauma that you experience is not okay. So for me, it's a very, like, I can even feel, I'm like, holy shit, I just went from laughing to being in that somber space. But like, yeah, like you put yourself back in there, like, whew, that was a long, painful lesson.
Yeah.
But we all ended up okay on the other side.
Which is beautiful. But that process of finding courage is not easy. And you found it. And that's incredible. Was that something did you have other people kind of helping you out, or did you have some friends who are like, I don't know about this? Like sometimes our friends don't tell us that a relationship was bad until after we got out. Like, oh yeah, I never thought that was going to work, sweetheart. No, that was terrible. Right. Did you have people that were just doing that, or did you have some people along the way that were kind of pointing it, or was it kind of you that you're like, this isn't right. I deserve more. My children deserves more. I want more.
Yeah. I lied to everybody. I lied to protect. I lied to everybody. My parents had no idea what was going on behind closed doors. The neighbors had no idea until I left. And then they're like, holy shit. So like all of these things were just hidden until I left. And even now, like some people don't know everything that went on or why I left because of the perception that was created. And even before I left, we had formed this company together. So we had started this dating company that launched me into where I am today. Or led to that road. And so I was already having these like public situations or public, things that I was doing on TV or, just even with the company. So there was already this kind of need to protect or need to hide. And it was awful. So yeah, it wasn't until I was gone that they were like, some people finally felt like they could say something, but most people were just surprised because of how I acted in front of them. And I was like, see, I am an actress.
See?
Emmy.
Take it. Well played, Rachel. Well played. It is incredible that from a shit-tastic relationship, or at least I'm not knowing everything about it, but from a very hard relationship, let's put it that way, to have then with that individual started some sort of dating company to now be a relationship expert. That is what a beautiful journey. And I know it's now beautiful, but that doesn't mean it clearly was ugly for a while. But at what point did you realize, hey, being a lawyer has been fun, thanks, or been fine, thanks. I think I actually want to point the ship at relationships.
It wasn't intentional. It was so we had this idea for a company that was actually based on the way that we met. So passing the note through the waitress, we're like, we could help people meet people and be in hopefully better relationships than ours, and do it in an offline, online way. So we created this company idea and launched that. And I intended to be a lawyer running this company until the media started calling, and we were in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, and then Oprah called. It was her last season, and I did not go on Oprah, but I still had the caller ID somewhere in like a dead computer. But it was just this crazy thing where it just took over. And then all of a sudden we met somebody who's affiliated with Shark Tank, and one of the sharks wanted to get in on the company and said, hey, listen, you need to become the face of this. You need to become an expert, and then we're going to pull in the company behind you. I was like, okay. And I was like, what am I an expert in? And they go,
tell me.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing now? I'm an actress. And they said, you're a flirting expert. And I'm like, because it was a way for people to flirt, essentially, was the company. And I was like, a flirting expert. Okay, cool. Thinking like that could go a lot of different ways, but probably not going to bring me back into the courtroom with any sort of presence or credibility. So, but we had investors and we had all of this poured into it. And I never took a salary. We poured all of our money into it. So I'm like, well, screw it. Like, the company's not doing well. I need to do this. So I became a flirting expert on TV. I started going on TV. I wrote a book in 10 days. Please do not buy that one. It's so bad. It's so freaking bad. It's so basic. I mean, listen, it works and a lot of people liked it, but like, I still find, like, if I dare to pick it up, I'm like, and there's another typo, because it was a hybrid publisher and nobody cared. So yeah, I wrote this book on flirting, started talking about flirting on TV, and then started talking about dating. And the company got washed out because it was pre-app dating. App dating came out and people are like, why am I handing out cards to people when I could just swipe? And so it got subsumed. And I still got called to be on TV, and I was like, well, shit, what am I doing now? I am divorced at this point.
Yeah.
I am not going back to law. One, because I loved what I was doing. Like, I loved TV. I loved talking. And, I was like, okay, so what do I do now? And people were asking me to coach them. And I had no idea what that meant. I was like, I don't play soccer, and I don't think you want me helping you to either. So no idea what it was, and went back and became a coach, and then evolved. That's just like that evolution of where you go from, something that you thought was what you were going to stay in for a while. And I'm like, this dating, flirting thing is cool. And obviously I still talk about it, but I wanted to go into like more impactful things. And that's how I evolved into relationships. And that was like 10 years ago. So yeah,
awesome.
That's
awesome. What a journey. That's so cool. I also love, I kind of want to learn more. We could do it offline about these cards that you would pass out and whatnot. I think that sounds like an intriguing model.
It was something.
Yeah, for sure. Clearly it was. Right?
It was. I mean, we raised awesome. Like $1.6 million in a private placement. Like, people believed in it. It just shit the bed.
The internet ruins most things.
It really did. And then it's like, okay, you can pivot, but then you're competing with Tinder or, a crazy large, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you now teach relationships, right? You do a ton of media appearances. You've done Married at First Sight, Kate+Date, right? Like, you are in the public eye as a relationship expert.
Yes, sir.
For you, in thinking about your divorce, what did your divorce teach you that you now are excited to teach others?
Oh my God, we don't have enough time for this.
Okay, great. Well, let's go back to your self-esteem then. Let's
go back to the 4th grade. I think the biggest thing is self-worth. If we're going to boil it all down, because I could talk about red flags, I could talk about knowing when to go, I could talk about who to choose, I could talk about non-negotiables and all those things, but it really does come back to self-worth. Knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and knowing that you are worthy of it is really everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. I think, when I think back to my divorce, we had very different divorces. And I think that's something that a lot of people are often, once they hear your divorce, they kind of put everybody in the same box, but divorces are so incredibly broad in their reasons and their everything. And so though we were both a member of the club, how we got into it is very different. And when I think about the idea of divorce, it was a huge learning moment for me. And I think for me, I also was struggling with self-worth, but I didn't name it as that for a while. Until well after the divorce. And again, how we both got to our self-worth issues are different, though they both do stem from middle school and high school. And so
those little jerks, right? Like how much power do we give these people?
Yes.
Oh
yeah. Right. That's it. Who do you give your power to is always an important question to ask.
Yeah.
And so I think that was it. A lot of it for me was, in my relationship, it was a lot of shoulds of like, all right, well, this is happening, so I should, or they want this, so I should, or this and that, I should. And I was in a relationship with an exceptional human being that did not have a plot twist, just kept being the same really great human being that just wasn't right. And you think to yourself, a lot of it, I remember a lot of that process for me. There was a moment right after the divorce where my parent, I think I've said this on here before, but where my mom said, "So this wasn't good enough for you? When is anything ever going to be good enough for you?"
Oh, Mom.
Right. And that moment, but she hit the nail on the head, right? Because that was the pain point for me, is also like, why isn't this good enough for you? What is wrong with you that this isn't enough? And I couldn't name it yet, which made it even harder, because I couldn't name it. I just knew it wasn't right. And that sucks, because I had to hurt somebody, didn't have to hurt somebody, did hurt somebody who didn't deserve to be hurt, deserved more communication, deserved more authenticity and vulnerability, and wasn't getting it because I couldn't name it. And that's something else that's interesting. I think men often don't let people in on their processes. We let people in on our solutions, right? And so that was what was going on, and I didn't let her in. But it's fascinating to watch the way that self-worth is a big thing, because during that time where it's like, all right, yeah, well, this is happening, so I should. Instead, what I should have been asking myself is, is this what I want? Is this next step what I want? Is this what I want?
Yeah.
Is this right? And if it's not, like, who knows what would have happened had I stood up for myself in one of those moments. Maybe the same result would have happened quicker, or maybe that relationship would have sustained for way longer. Or who knows, right? And living in those what ifs is not what I'm about. As you mentioned, I'm very happily married, and so I'm not going back to it. And just doesn't do anybody any favors. But again, it comes down to that idea of taking a beat and being like, what do I want? What do I deserve? And that's something that I don't often ask myself a lot. I let other individuals often be the determiner of my self-worth. And social media is great at it. It's awesome.
It's really so good.
It's so good. So it feels so good every day. But it's interesting to hear about, what you went through with your divorce, what it has taught you. How is that now impacting your current relationship? What are you doing differently in your current relationship because of what you learned?
I mean, I think we do everything differently, but I have to say, in my relationship now, we are so compatible. And, that can't be understated. Like, we are everything is easy. Our personalities have probably shifted because of our experiences, but we've still never had a fight. We've been together for 3.5 years. We've gone through some serious shit.
Yeah.
And we've never even raised our voices to each other. That doesn't mean that sometimes we don't get annoyed. Mostly because he does something wrong. Obviously, I'm perfect, but but yeah, he and I we talk about everything. And so, I think part of it is, I can't even say that I'm trying so much harder. I think it's just naturally so much easier because of our personalities and the way that we mesh, and his disposition and my disposition with him. Like, he doesn't trigger anything in me. And that's something it's interesting too. I love my son so much. You always know that something good's going to come out of a mom's mouth when they have to preface it like that. He's an amazing kid, and so just like smart and awesome in every way. but he is stubborn as hell. And we fight. Like we absolutely fight. And it's funny because even though my ex wasn't his biological father, like there's some of that stubbornness that I think like, I'm like, does it rub off on him? Like, does he spend too much time there? But I was like, oh my gosh, it's just such a different relationship between him and I, where I actually do have to work at it harder, you know, with conversation, with communication with my son, so that we end up in a productive situation versus yelling at each other, versus with Kevin, who I don't have to work that hard. We just fit, and it's easy. And it's almost like, I don't even want to tell people to like search for that. Cause I'm like, I don't even know if that exists everywhere. I'm like, this feels like a unicorn to me. And I do this for a living. Like it's not hard. So I don't know if that answered the question, except for make people hate me.
Yay. Seek out Rachel DeAlto for relationship advice. She'll tell you, just find one that's easy.
Cheers.
I love it. Sips Perrier.
I'm so bougie. I mean, at least I owned it. I mean, I am in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I have slippers on. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Just trying.
No,
trying to be relatable.
You are. Yeah, I mean that is beautiful that it is that easy, right? That like you said, the dispositions match and all that. That's incredible, and I'm super happy for you, right? Obviously I didn't know Rachel. I didn't know Rachel back in the day, but I know Rachel now, and it is cool to see how happy you are. It's really special.
Very happy.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, and we're planning this wedding. We got a lot of stuff cooking, but
well,
Rachel,
I'm not planning it.
Yeah. Oh, touche. That's right. Yeah. Touche. So Rachel, here's what I want to do right now. We have a segment on this show, and I'm wondering if I could do this segment with you. You let me know. It's called Things You Didn't Know About Me Before, but are now really glad that you did. Now, there's two things you should know about this segment on the show, Rachel DeAlto. The first one is that the name changes every time. The second thing.
Why didn't I get like things you like to eat? Why are you gonna give me the complicated one? I was like, wait, what am I telling you?
You're totally fine. The second thing you should know is that the premise stays the same each time. So here's what we're going to do, Rachel. Yeah. You and I are going to share some random facts about us, not related to relationships, not related, or if you want it to be, it could be like a quirk or something like that. But like a random, just like you're thinking of like what's an embarrassing story? What's a time where you, I'm blatantly putting you on the spot. Everybody get this. This is the treatment. This is a treatment you get here. Don't worry. I'll go first. So it's all good. But yeah, so an embarrassing story, a random quirk about you, maybe idiosyncrasy, something that you like in the particular order.
Okay, I got it.
She's got it.
I got mine.
Great. Well, you need two. So think of another. So I love it. So I will go first. I'll go first. Okay. So as you know, there are a lot of food quirks that I have. I eat a lot of foods in different ways and weird ways. But one of the things that I do most frequently is that whenever I eat cereal. Now, first off, I've recently found out that there are people on this earth that put the milk in the bowl first. I don't know if which is a fascinating subset of this population on this planet. But anyway, so anyway, I pour the cereal in the bowl. I pour the milk into the bowl. I then stir them all up so that each piece of cereal has an appropriate amount of milk on it. And then I proceed to drink all of the milk out of the bowl.
Before eating the cereal?
Before eating the cereal. Yes, I drink all the milk. So I stop the moisturification. These are all technical terms. Yeah. Yeah. Or absorption, if you want to use science terms. Okay.
Sorry for getting all technical out there.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Someone graduated from being a 3L. So, but yeah, I stopped the absorption from happening. So yeah, and then I eat the rest of the cereal bowl.
I don't think I'm ever going to eat with you again without wondering all of the weird shit you do.
I'll happily tell you most of them.
Yay!
So there you go. There's a random one about me. What do you got for us?
One of my favorite things that I don't tell people is that I sleepwalk when I'm stressed out.
Incredible.
And I act out dreams. So last night, I don't even know what last night's was, but I did wake up. I woke myself up sitting up straight in bed and talking. And Kevin just like watches me at this point. He thinks it's hilarious. The other day, there was a mattress flying through the wind in my room that I ran out of bed to try to catch before it broke the window. One day there will be film.
I can only hope. I think that's what we all need right now.
Yeah.
Now, did you actually break the window?
No, there was no window.
There was no window. There was no window.
There was no window. There was no mattress.
Sleep in a cell.
I mean, where the window I thought was, because I tend to wake myself up during it. I actually have been doing this forever since I was a little kid. My first memory of sleepwalking was at Disney World when I was probably like 8 years old, and I walked out the hotel room down the hall into the lobby. Like my parents like heard a weird door click and they found me in the lobby at like 2:00 in the morning. So yeah. And now it happens more so when I'm stressed out because my dreams, I think I just allow my subconscious to let it all out there.
Yeah.
So lucky Kevin.
Lucky Kevin. These are the poiks. That's incredible. I was going to share another fact, but now I'll share this one. And that is that I've sleptwalk. From my knowledge, I've slept something three memorable times. It's probably happened more times than that. The first time was when we were down visiting my grandparents in Florida, and I sleptwalk in their house and wound up being out at the TV thinking that we were all having a conversation and I was the one watching TV, and I woke up in the chair with not holding a remote, though I thought I had a remote. And I was like, all right, what just happened? The next time was a couple years later, and it was at my house growing up, and this is probably middle school, I think, and middle school, high school. And I get up and I'm walking around, and I walk to the head of the stairs. I'm at the top of the stairs, and my parents' room kind of is like at the end of the hallway, and so you can kind of see the top of the stairs. My parents are watching me, and they finally wake me up, like, James. And I wake up, and my dad and my mom was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were going to fall down the stairs. I couldn't believe it. My dad was like, I didn't care about that. I thought he just missed the bathroom, was going to take a piss down the stairs. The only other time I can remember having a dream that I woke up doing something is that I was in the dream. I was fishing on the St. Lawrence River. Shout out to upstate New York. And I was fishing on the St. Lawrence River, and I went to catch a fish, but then I couldn't pull it up for whatever reason. It got like stuck behind this rock. So I had to like reach down to grab the fish, and it bit me. And I woke up with my forearm in my mouth, and it was bruised for 2 days. I was biting myself so hard. It was teeth mark for days.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I have never hurt myself during sleepwalking, but that's awesome.
There it is.
Is that, well, you love your fishes.
I do. It's a sign. Yeah. Even though they bite back, they bite back.
That's amazing.
Rachel, hit us with one more random fact about yourself.
Oh my God. Okay. So I can't believe I'm going to say this, which is always the premise of something good, but I have a tramp stamp from when I was 17 years old. And I allowed my then boyfriend, who I was in love with, to draw said tramp stamp. And then he got the matching one on his shoulder.
Rachel, I normally don't have words, but I may not have words right now.
And no, I'm not going to show it.
That's fine. I respect that. So you still have it, despite technology.
You can't get rid of it. Like it's really painful to remove a tattoo. So no, it's going to live there forever. I'm going to be 95 years old, and poor Kevin's going to be like walking by and be like, really? Still there? Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that the pain of getting the tattoo removed is worse than the pain of having to admit that you have it.
You actually make a really good point. I think I might Google some things today.
Never say to make an impact on your life, Rachel. I love it. So Rachel, here's a fun fact. Let's jump back in. Here's a fun fact about you and I is that you and I are both passionate about the topic of relatability, which according to Microsoft Word is not a word. It still puts the regularly squig line under it, and I'm not interested.
Really?
Yeah,
I think I like changed my computer because I think I'm done with that.
Yeah,
it doesn't tell me those things anymore.
I need you. That's it.
Yeah,
I'll show
like who's
you.
in charge here?
Yeah, exactly. Get out of here, tiny paperclip man. That's another old school reference. So yeah, but we are both passionate about the topic of relatability. You are so passionate about it that you decided I'll write a book, and it's coming out. Simon and Schuster, yes.
Yes, sir.
Great, because if not, I would edit that, but I don't edit anything else in this podcast. In case you're wondering, nothing will be cut out. But yeah, so it's coming out, and I love it. This book, it's called Relatable: How to Connect with Anyone, Anywhere, Even if it scares you. What prompted this book? Why relatability? Why does it matter? Why does it matter to you so much that you're like, I need to write a book on this?
It's like anything else that we do where it just bubbles up and you're like, man, I can't get this out of my head. I can't get it off my heart. And I was doing these keynotes. So it came up as like a keynote idea where people just weren't connecting. They weren't connecting in a way that I really thought they could make meaningful connections, whether it be at a college or it be at a corporate engagement. And people just don't get each other. And our social skills have gone down so far, and social anxiety became such a big problem, and people are afraid to start those connections. So for me, it started off as this keynote that I give, and I saw it really change people. And so I was like, okay, COVID came, and I was like, okay, I never have time to just sit and think and create. And I had been working on the book proposal for a while, but off and on. And I sat down and I really focused on it. And I realized that there really was a book beyond, the keynote that I give and beyond all of those concepts. And it just became something that's a passion of mine. And now is kind of my whole platform is just being relatable, because it's the cornerstone of everything, whether we're talking about, we talk a lot about romantic relationships. Obviously, relatability matters in there, but it's also the same thing in professional relationships, personal relationships. If you're making friends, you have to be relatable. If you are wanting to sell something, you have to be relatable. If you want to lead a team, you have to be relatable. So I think I have a series coming out now.
In case you were wondering.
Yep. Turns out I got some more things to write, but I think I'm going to handle one at a time right now. But yeah, it's just, I believe in it so much. I believe in that is the foundation of everything. So
yeah, for sure. That's I'm on the same page. Like I mentioned, you and I are the only two people that I know, and I'm sure there are more, but that are talking about relatability.
Forget them.
There's not.
No, nobody else.
Perfect. Thanks for doing the research. And
I Googled.
Perfect. When in doubt, trust the internet. That's what I've always said. So the
concept a quote by the Dalai Lama that said it was just us.
Oh, perfect. Great. Let's both get that on a mug. To use under our Nespresso machines, which is a good time to bring up our sponsor, Nespresso.
It should be Perrier too. My God.
One beverage thing at a time.
Conflict.
Relatability is so powerful because when we see ourselves in someone else, we believe that we can, right? And so there's this idea that a lot of us put up, though, is that we need to be somebody else in order to be loved, in order to be liked, in order to be dateable, in order to be accepted, in order to be seen as a leader, in order to be trusted, in order to be whatever it is, right? The stories that we write are so powerful in our head. They cause us to be inauthentic. We have convinced ourselves, I am not good enough the way I am to do the thing I want or to get the thing I want. And so I have to act like somebody else, right? And it's fascinating the way that we write, to watch the way we write these stories in our heads. With all the relationship work that you have done, what are some of the most popular stories that people often write in their heads that you've seen that take them from being authentic in themselves to being inauthentic and not relatable?
One, I think any sort of perfectionism, I have to be perfect. And
Mm,
that can be from so many different sources. It could be your family of origin that creates that. It could be your own internal, personality or things that you've have gone through that create those elements. And then the other one is really associated with it, which is, I'm not good enough to show myself. I'm
mhm.
not. Why would anybody want to connect with me? I have to be better than me. That's why I look at these filters nowadays, and this is something I talk about so often. And listen, I mean, a little bit of highlight helps me a lot because I'm old. But like some of these filters, I'm like, you don't look like that. I mean, one of my friends, I love her to pieces. I'm like, you lost your nose. Like you have no nose left. Like you've completely eradicated half of your face and all of your features because they think that this looks better. But it's a an anomaly for anomaly. Oh my gosh, I can't talk anymore.
Mom and
Um,
mommy.
but
See
you
an
know what I
enemy.
mean? It's an example of really what we're doing in everyday life, which is we're filtering to the point of, lacking recognition. And then how are you actually getting connected to somebody who you can't even recognize? You don't even know. So it is a vicious cycle. But
Yeah.
yeah, self-worth is a beast.
Yeah, for sure. As we've
It's a
already talked about in
beast.
this conversation
Yeah.
with both of us and our journeys with self worth, for sure. It is it is fascinating to watch the way people tell stories about themselves and the way that we beat ourselves up and all those. And it's, I mean, we're so good at it. It's really
Yeah.
exceptional.
Did
And
we shit on ourselves today?
not enough.
Yeah, like I almost feel like, listen, can we for the rest of this just be like, listen, I'm the horriblest person. Is that even a word? I'm really bad. I'm ugly.
Well, now you're lying, but
Yeah.
everything else I agreed with. But no.
But you pretty.
you, you sure are pretty.
Oh my god, I just snotted,
Can I pet
snorted.
can I pet the rabbits, George? Uh,
Now you got creepy.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's everything's fine. Uh, so I'm wondering for you, when you think about your greatest teachers, was divorce one of your greatest teachers? What were some of the teachers that you had in between divorce and finding this new relationship? Because there certainly was a gap in there. Like, what were some of your ways that you built your own confidence or self-worth? Or
Yeah,
have
I
you not?
honestly, no, I'm still a mess. Well, it's funny because I'm still not, and part of this is I think an asset. We were talking yesterday or the other day about I was in that clubhouse room and people
Mhm.
were kind of making a big deal of me and my book and changing their picture to my book. And I was like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. Like, stop being so nice to me. I need somebody to make fun of me. So I think I still do have a trouble with accepting
Yeah.
and accepting praise and just embracing that. But I also like that it keeps me humble. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, and I do have big goals and I have, even bigger dreams of stages that I've been on and where I want to go. And I like that I have that. Like I want to always want people to make fun of me.
Mhm.
But I do think there was along the way so many teachers in terms of not only the divorce and getting through, that really rough spot. Sometimes you have to hit that really low point to bounce back up, and I think that's, a huge motivator for me. But there was a lot of work that I was beginning to do within even, that relationship, and whether it was reading, coming across like a book or going to therapy. I had basically forced him to go to counseling together, and then I got my own therapist. And thankfully, it wasn't the same one that was like, "Oh, they love chunky girls."
Oh no. I can't believe you tried therapy again. That would be enough for most people to say never again.
Yeah, I mean, it was so bizarre. But yeah, so I ended up finding an amazing therapist who really kind of directed me towards some books, and I'm always been an avid, person in terms of education, and that's really where I got a lot of I think my self-worth too, is really learning that a lot of this wasn't my fault, learning that self-awareness, and then using some of the modalities that I was exposed to, whether it was yoga or working out or hypnosis, meditation, all of these different elements that allowed me to kind of come back to myself. And I don't think it was one thing. I think it was all of these different things that just added up to where I ended up, which is a pretty solid place. A little bit of deprecation left. But otherwise we're good.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think there's a famous quote by the wise old sage Anonymous. And Anonymous once said that happiness is only a place that you can visit, but the smartest people go there often. And I love that quote. And I think for me,
I like that.
I often apply that quote also to my relationship with confidence. Confidence is the only place that you can visit, but the smartest people go there often, right? You don't all of a sudden cross into confidence corner and that's where you live now, right? Like plant the flag, especially because there's so many different facets, right? Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever I walk off stage, I often get the question of like, where did you get your confidence? And I was like, no, you just saw me at my most confident. I'm now insecure again. How are you?
And also, can you say that was awesome?
Right, yeah. Tell me that you like me, and did you follow me on social media? Thanks. But yeah, right. Like, and so confidence is this. It's a fascinating journey for me. And I hear that in you as well. And I love to hear that, you went to counseling, you tried counseling again, and that it really helped. And you just started to build that self-worth. That self-deprecation, that's something that I grew up a lot around in my house. And it's something that my mom is very good at. I was taught from a young age by my dad, make fun of yourself before anybody else makes fun of you, because then nobody will ever be able to get to you. Built a great low self-esteem. And it's fascinating because in some ways it is very funny. Right. And it's funny. It's endearing. It's a way to try to humble ourselves. It also is something that makes people feel uncomfortable. I had a good friend of mine, my college roommate. I started doing stand-up in college and just started doing stand-up comedy and just would perform at the Hawk's Nest on campus. And it was 90% of my jokes were self-esteem related and like just taking knocks at myself, self-deprecation. And I did it. I did a few sets and my roommate came up to me. He's like, brother, he's like, you're really funny. He's like, I think you're funny. I laugh at you all the time. I've literally laughed so hard. I spit orange juice all over you at Perkins. And so he's like, that I think you're funny. He's like, but I also need to tell you the laughs that you're getting on stage aren't laughs, they're groans.
Oh.
And it was a really hard moment for me because one of my biggest fears is being a burden on others, making others people feel uncomfortable. And I want everybody to feel safe and feel fine around me. And so self-deprecation is certainly a way to humble ourselves, but there also comes a point where it gets a little too deep and a little too dark.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that as someone who is occasionally self-deprecating?
I definitely have noticed when there's been times where people call me out for it. I think you were one of them. After you're like, go get it. Throw a little extra in there. You didn't talk about how unsymmetrical your face is yet. But the one thing I think that I try to balance it out, and so it doesn't get too heavy and it doesn't repeat itself too much, because I think, there is a lot of truth in humor, and so I also am a believer of if I keep saying it, then I'm going to believe it. So I don't think I use it to the darkness point. I could be wrong. I mean, please, anybody still listening,
excuse me,
let me know. And it's funny because even like Kevin writes my self-deprecation out of my emails, because I'll send them. I might be getting an endorsement from an enormous person, not in size, but in status. Beautiful. And was like beyond dream endorser, super celebrity. And I was sending a follow-up email and I basically was like, I know that I'm like a peon in your pool or whatever it is. Like, it was just this like very deprecating. And then there was a couple other things. He's like, no, you're taking that out. He's like, you're owning who you are. Like, stop that shit. Because people could read that as you don't believe in your project or you don't believe in yourself. And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good point. Because I tend to use it in a different way, but I could see how there's different perceptions. So I think it's just good you keep people around you that keep you from going too dark.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I love that he does that for you as well. That's incredible. I think I agree. And it's been a journey for me to try to overcome it. And I've done a lot. And fortunately I have Tina likes to tell me all the time, don't talk to the man I love like that. Right. 'Cause
Aww.
when I shit on myself, and it is right. But it's like, don't talk to my best friend like that. Don't talk to my right. Like those
Yep.
kind of comments. I'm like, oh, good. And
No.
because it's
Oh,
it's real,
shucks.
but
Yep.
I love it. I love that this whole process of being relatable also comes from you realizing, as you said earlier, that you are enough. You are enough to love. You are enough to lead. You are enough to be friends with. You are enough to all those kinds of things. And that process is way easier said than done, but it is work worth doing to realize that we are enough. And Rachel, you are enough, my friend. And I
So are
really
you.
value our friendship more than I can say. And I'm grateful for the time that you give me. And thank you so much for coming into the diner today, my friend. I appreciate you.
I love the diner. Thank you. And I feel exactly the same.
Thank you,
This
Rachel.
is really fun.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. That was my time with Rachel DeAlto. She is an incredible human being. Make sure you pre-order her new book, Relatable: How to Connect with Anyone, Anywhere, even if it scares you. She was a special guest, y'all. We got deep. We got there. Let me know what resonated with you. Shoot me a message. I'd love to hear what resonated for you in this conversation. And until next time we get to hang out in the diner, my friends, keep punching small talk in the face by asking better questions. You all take care.